Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Monday Night MashUp show. The time, as I start this show, is 17 minutes past 10. As the good Lord above is my witness, this show will not go past 11 o'clock at night UK time. Allow me, please. I beg, let's make this one quick, people. Call-in show. You lot ring in. You already done know how it goes on a Monday night. You ring in. You decide the talking points. I chop it up. We keep it moving. Since last week's show, since last Monday's show, not a whole lot's gone on in West Indies cricket. It's been one of those rare quiet weeks in West Indies cricket. Let me think of some stuff that's gone on. Obviously, we've had CPL. Kemal Roach is back in the UK playing for Surrey. Anderson Phillips got a deal with Lancashire. Chamar Holder's got a deal with Durham. What else has gone on? What else has gone on since last Monday? Graham West has left his role officially now and has been appointed as the academy head coach for Island cricket. Yeah, that's been it really. Not a whole lot else really has gone on, and you can tell that by the content that we have or haven't done on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, because we've done bits and pieces around CPL. I did a video on Craig Brathwaite, which got every single uncle that likes cricket in the region complaining about something, but not a whole lot. Good comment here from D. D says, "Do you think the West Indies women have an outside chance of going to the semis?" Who's in our group again? England. Is it England and South Africa are the two good teams in our group? Yeah, there's an outside chance. Whilst you've got Hayley Matthews and if Deandra's firing, anytime you've got Hayley and Deandra, you have to think that either West Indies can post a total that they can defend, or that they have the capacity to chase any total if Hayley plays one of her kind of worldy innings and she's supported by Deandra and Stefani Taylor. So you don't know. Of course, there's an outside chance. But I haven't done any videos yet on the women's team. That's coming. But obviously, school has returned from holiday, so I'm a bit busy at the moment. Outside of that, Pishak Ravan says, Mikyle Louis has been fantastic in the CPL. Give him his props. Yeah, he's been all right. He's played some good innings. I mean, everybody, let me just go find his stats before I start saying anything. So Mikyle Louis in CPL has, what's he done so far? Okay, he's done all right, hasn't he? He's got a 56 versus Trimbago on the road in Warner Park. What did he get? 56 from 38, batting at number 4. Then he got 31 against the Amazon Warriors. How many did he make that in? 31 from 21, batting at number 4, 5, 6, 7. How can Mikyle Louis be batting number 7? This is what I'm talking about. This is why CPL is a joke thing. As much as you may or may not rate Louis, he's batting at number 7. What does that do for his development? He's not a number 7 batter. Is he really going to bat? Like, obviously, these franchise teams don't care about West Indies, but he's not going to get into a West Indies team from a number 7 position. Do you get where I'm coming from? Against Barbados Royals, he made, how many did he make in that one? That time he batted 4 again, made 30 off 20. And then he played against the Falcons. I saw that one the other day, 63 off 30 odd. I swear he was batting at number 7 in that game as well. Where was he batting in that one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, batting number 6. So the mere fact that Mikyle Louis has batted 7, 7, 4, 6, that in itself speaks volumes about how St. Kitts aren't a serious team, that they don't even know where to bat the guy. He's their one guy who's been performing in most of their innings, and they've got no idea what to do with him or where to bat him. So I think that speaks volumes about why St. Kitts have won one game from six and look like an utter and complete rabble and shambles. But anyways, we can talk about that, I'm sure. Um, let's see some other comments. YXL Tulsa says Louis being good, but given his strike rate, I'd identify him as an ODI cricketer, not T20 player. With Shea and King in the side, we have enough players at that strike rate. Need more dashers. What, in ODI cricket? Everyone always forgets that our ODI team is the worst format of cricket that we play. Because we haven't played ODIs in ages, everyone's naturally forgotten that we are absolutely dreadful at ODI cricket. We had this discussion in the Discord the other day, and some people were saying, oh, Louis should be called up to the ODI team. And I had to politely remind people that ODI cricket is not T20 cricket. ODI cricket is closer to Test cricket than it is to T20 cricket. I can give you 10 a penny of batters in the region who can come and play ODI cricket and maybe smash 25 or 15. But I can't give you many batters who can construct an innings and still be there after 80 balls. And that's why we suck. That's why we suck at ODI cricket, because there's not many batters that know how to construct a long innings that you actually need to do in ODI cricket. So I'm not anti Mikyle Louis getting called up in ODI cricket, but I wouldn't be rushing to do so. That just sounds like people just kind of groping around in their magician's hat and just trying to pull out anybody's name at that particular point in time. I don't even think Mikyle Louis played a list day game. Remember, Mikyle Louis got called up to the Test team based off having a really good record in the Red Bull Championship. So far, after 7 tests, is it 7 tests or is it 5 tests? So far after, it must be 5 tests. So far after 5 tests, it hasn't translated. So be very careful, people. Just because you see somebody perform well in CPL, don't actually mean anything. Particularly when you're talking about a transition to ODI cricket. Respect ODI cricket, please. What do you lot think you're talking about here? Where are we? Anyways, let me put the thing. I've got a bit of a headache, dehydrated out here. Right. So let me put the link in the thing. Raymond Reefer says no new bowlers have made a name for themselves so far in the tournament in CPL. Yeah, I'd go along with that. Nobody's really stuck out to me or made me pay attention to anything, so I'd go along with that. Kurt says, Mr. CCP, I see that Bangladesh just beat Pakistan in a Test series. So you know what that means for the West Indies team. It's going to be a hard road for us. Yeah. Bangladesh should be coming to the Caribbean full of confidence and thinking that they can get a result against us in the Caribbean. But at the same time, if I'm being genuine with you, I still expect us to at least win one test, at least one, versus Bangladesh in Caribbean conditions. I would be shocked if Bangladesh were to... let me think. Yeah, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if Bangladesh beat us in a series at home. Obviously, some people are going to say, oh, yeah, but they beat Pakistan. But Pakistan are down bad as well. I wouldn't be shocked if Bangladesh won a test, but I'd be shocked if Bangladesh won the series against us in the Caribbean. But of course, anything's possible. This is the West Indies we're talking about. Steve says, did the CPL intentionally schedule the Patriots against the Falcons on the morning of the first Sunday of the NFL season? I don't know. But I do know that game was absolutely dreadful. It was the first game that I bothered to watch from pretty much ball 1 to the end of the game, and it was absolutely dreadful. It was a horrible spectacle to watch. I hated every moment of it. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good TV. It wasn't even good mindless sport. At one point, I fell asleep on the couch watching it. That's how down bad and dreadful it was. Like, you lot who watch CPL from start to finish, you're better people than me, The only people who can watch CPL from start through to finish, and this isn't a cuss, I'm just being realistic. The only people who can watch this tournament from start through to finish, you must fit one of these criteria. Either 1, you're unemployed. 2, you're young and you don't, obviously, you're not working, or maybe at university or something. 3, you're addicted to betting. 4, you're involved in some kind of corruption. Those are the only 4 people that could be watching this stuff. Really, really and truly, that's the only 4 people who could be watching this stuff. Because everybody else must have something better to do with their life. Everybody else must have something better to do with their life. You see that 3 hours I wasted watching that game? It's my fault, because I had something better to do and I said, nah, let me watch this game. I'm never making that mistake again. Impossible. Sunday afternoon, you know. This is how I know T20 must be for these young youths. I'm a real uncle out here. A real uncle. So let me move on before I take Josh, who's backstage. Grayson says if you play cricket, you probably watch CPL. No, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that's a qualifier. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And I think what I said to Santoki and I recorded a show. Was it yesterday? We recorded a show yesterday. I'm not saying that I wouldn't watch a better CPL game. What I'm saying is that particular game was dreadful to watch. Like, if you lot were bored and on TV, like those of you who watch enough of this channel will know that I support Bromley. Bromley recently got promoted to League 2. If I told you lot to sit down and watch Bromley versus Chesterfield on TV, a League 2 game, 99% of you would go, I'm not watching that. But if I told you to watch Arsenal versus, I don't know, Nottingham Forest, most of you would, because you recognise that there is a distinct shifting quality between the 2 games. St. Kitts versus Antigua, forget whether it was CPL or not, it was shit. It was an awful game of cricket to watch. Don't disrespect me like that and say that, but if you play cricket, you'd watch it. No, it was rubbish. It was horrendous. It was rubbish. Like, come on, let's be realistic. It was rubbish. And I'm down bad because I watched all of it. So that's how I know it was rubbish. Right, anyways, let's move. Let's bring Josh on. Let me just see if there's any comments that I've missed. I think that's everything. Yeah. Links in the chat. Tell a friend to tell a friend. 1 second. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. Let me bring Josh on. It's hot in this room. Let me turn this fan on. Coming in like I'm in Kingston, Jamaica in this room. 1 second. Turn on the fan, yeah. Right, okay. Right, okay, we're good to go. That is it. Right, okay. So let's bring on Josh. Right. Let's bring on Josh. Yes, Josh, what are you saying?
Well, going, Machel, good?
I'm good.
You want me to send over some AC for you?
Listen, I need to install AC in this house immediately.
Yo, Machel, if you ever feel how Jamaica, bro, it's like a living furnace out here, bro. I'm not gonna lie. No lie, bro. No lie. But before I start, everybody remember with the comment, share, follow, and spread the word. You know what I mean? The people we do it out here. You know what I mean? It's the only one to do and the realest one to do the thing out here. Right, Mash?
100%.
That is
like,
it.
share, subscribe.
That is it. All right, so Mash, I saw your I don't know if I call it a show or a podcast, but you did something with Santoki. Was it yesterday or the day before? One of them.
I think it was yesterday.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking a lot about identity crisis, right? So I want to touch on that a little bit, right? So I'm gonna use my knowledge based on what I learned when I did my master's in London, right? And I'm gonna apply that to everything you and Santoki were discussing, right? Now I am in agreement, I should say, regarding your point relating to national pride and the correlation between players from the country and the names of the franchise. Because what does a Patriot have to do with St. Kitts? What does a Falcon have to do with Antigua? What does the phrase Kings have to do with Saint Lucia? What does the phrase? I mean, maybe actually no. That's a controversial one. The Royals have to do with Barbados. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only two, like you have said, and Santoki, Guyana Amazon Warriors, that is very relatable, and Trinbago Night Riders. I get the Trinbago part. It's there was a time when it wasn't Trinidad, it was just Trinidad Red Force. You know what I mean? So there's a sense of unity right there. Night Force, yeah, that's okay. However, I would say you are also right regarding 3-4 years ago. Here were the following names:
Mm-hmm.
Saint Lucia Zooks, Barbados Trident,
Yeah.
Trinbago Red Force, Trinidad Red Force. I think it's actually TNT Red Force.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Talawas has always been Jamaica Talawas.
Yeah.
I don't remember if St. Kitts Patriots have always been St. Kitts Patriots. I need to check that one back.
When
But
the old Antigua team was Hawksbills as well.
yes, and again, I don't know what that has to do with it. So I need to do research on that one. The point I'm making is CPL originally had an identity and it has shifted away. From the point of view, from a brand marketing point of view, specifically team naming point of view. When
Yeah.
you when you go into further detail, where I would agree on the side of CPL now, from an identity point of view, is how they position the branding of the Caribbean Premier League being the biggest party in sport. Because the reality, that is what us as Caribbean people identify with: a social life, a limelight, a party atmosphere, combining that with cricket. That works hand in hand. So I give you guys 50-50 from that point of view. You understand what I'm saying?
No, and do you know what? We didn't make that point yesterday, but I do agree with you on that. The one big redeeming feature that CPL has is its tagline makes sense.
It
So
makes sense. It go
everyone
and they
thinks that it's a lime when you go to CPL.
and you know why it works? Because when I talk to people who go into the game, they don't even go to the games to take it serious. They genuinely go there for a socially good time. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
Now,
Hold on,
I
pause though. No, Josh, pause 1 sec. When Talawas were playing at Sabina back in from 2013 through to 2019, even when they were playing a few games in Florida, be honest with me now. Be very honest with me. Did you watch Talawas because boy, it's just cricket and it's a vibe and man can lime and this that and so on and so forth,
no well, no
or was it because you knew Gale was playing, Russell was playing, Rovman was playing, Fabian was playing? Did it matter to you
I think
that
Gail
the
was playing.
Talawas had a Jamaican
Uh
core?
it meant it means a lot. It actually means
Okay.
a lot. It means
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and that's where I was gonna go with it next.
Okay,
Because
go.
where I was gonna go was where are the Antiguans? You mean to tell me just a you man outside? You mean to tell me it's just Jude Andrew? I mean, the brother's supposed to be in school, mate.
Uh-huh.
Where? Now, saying kiss is a tricky one because if I'm right, Mikyle Louis is the only Saint Kitts player I know,
Yeah.
even playing in the Windward Islands team. I might be wrong, but I believe so. No, not the Windward, the Leeward Islands team. Sorry, I
Mm-hmm.
think his brother, Jeremiah Louis, is Saint Kitts as
He's not
well.
he's I don't know if he's in a team, I can't remember.
Right, but the point is, national identity is critically important. I did my marketing research on West Indies cricket on a broader scale. And one
Mm-hmm.
of the reasons why West Indies have a very strong brand is because black people around the world, and I'm going to be very clear here, black people specifically around the world can identify with the players who play with West Indies. And here's the hit part. Here's the part where you're going to be shocked. Even the Indians in India can relate, or in Asia can relate to the West Indies team just on a image point of view, when you say Puran, when you see an Indian like player playing for the West Indies, there is a close social identity connected to West Indies cricket.
Mm.
It's one of the biggest reasons why West Indies brand and name is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then also when you come back to the Caribbean, the people associate it with the Caribbean, with the West Indies team, because it's a team that represents the Caribbean. If you break it down into CPL, one of the challenges that some of these CPL teams are going to have is there is a lack of national identity. And identity is how you relate and what do you see that reflects how you feel about your sense of pride. The only reason why CPL is a very big thing in the Caribbean, it is a social reason, especially in Antigua and St. Kitts. And even I would go even further to St. Lucia. St. Lucia is probably an exception because of Darren Sever being the coach. Do you understand?
Mm.
So your argument is valid from a identity point of view. But from a tournament point of view, the branding and the naming of the competition, I think CPL probably has the best identity across all tournaments, because
So,
what it is focused on is grouping the Caribbean together
mm.
and forming the identity around its social and nightlife. But hence the reason why every time you see a game, their focus is about the fans. This, I don't know if you realize, they spend more time talking about fan engagement more
Mm.
than the game itself.
Yeah, that's true. No, I hear that. I hear that. Okay. I know there's Trinis in the chat at the moment, and Fireball is the next person to come on the show. But
Right.
and I don't disagree with you. I think Santoki and myself possibly understated how much of a selling point just the liming is. But let me check this now. When Trinidad lose in 5 years' time, Pollard, Narine, Bravo goes this year, etc. And let's just say at that point, Trinidad aren't winning anymore. Do you think Trinidad would still sell out the Brian Lara Stadium and Queens Park Oval if the Night Riders suddenly started losing and didn't really have any marquee players outside of Puram?
So before
So
I
how
go
big?
further,
Before you answer that, sorry, let
right,
me just
okay. Okay.
explain why I'm saying that, because what I'm trying to gauge is how big of a selling point is the liming, and at what point comes in the, well, you need to actually win some matches.
Okay. Before I answer that, there's a reason I have been told, very close, who was based in Trinidad, that there's a big reason why Trinidad CKR has an academy. They're already trying to plan for the future because they know these guys are going to move on. I think, if I'm correct, Trinidad Night Riders is probably one of the only franchise teams that actually has an academy based in Trinidad. I don't know if you've seen that
Mm-hmm.
match.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
already planning for the future or
Right. Yes. Yeah.
preparing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big reasons why they've done that. So I do think over the next 2 to 3 years, you're gonna start seeing what they say in football, the changing of the guards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I do think Trinidad is preparing itself to do that. But to your question, I would say it's a 60-40 in favor of liming
Okay.
and winning. Trinidad like to win. The Caribbean people love to win. You know this much.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jamaican,
Yeah.
we don't
We're
support losers.
yeah, we're
We,
bandwagonists. We
we're
jump on the
bandwagon.
bandwagon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like that. But there's something about both Guyana, Trinidad, and you know what? I can't not say it, but even Barbados and St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean, we just like to go out. If there's ever an opportunity to go out, people take the chance. And I noticed because I was having a conversation with somebody the other day,
Mm.
and they literally said to me, Josh, I love cricket, but you know what I love about CPL? It's another opportunity for me to dress up, go out, watch cricket, and line with my friends and chat about cricket and chat about social things. There is also a thing that in both Guyana and Trinidad, one of the things you probably know, and even Barbados, they tied their carnival bands, they're
Mm.
all tied into the marketing and promoting of these events. So hence, they really promote it as a party atmosphere more than a cricket match. So one of the key things to understand about SEPA, which they have mastered very well, is they focus a lot on creating a party atmosphere. And I think that's why they won't really go too far out of business, because they know if they just try to sell a cricket match, I don't think it would capture a lot of people. But because they focus a lot on an entertainment value, it will always have pulling power, and that's why there's a lot of tourism. Hence the reason why Guyana started the whole thing about carnival. It's a huge selling point. That's why they get a lot of tourism during that time. There's a huge reason why Tribe and Yuma always associate themselves with one of the Friday night games and the Saturday night games. And I believe they do the same thing in Barbados. So what they have mastered from a market, and I'm talking from a marketing point of view, by the way, Mash, right?
Mm.
Is
Yeah, yeah.
they have made sure CPL that their core foundation of their marketing strategy is an entertainment value more than a sporting value. Sporting value, unfortunately, is secondary. Now here's the hit. I'm gonna side with you now. Watch me come over to your side now.
Mm-hmm.
CPL is gonna have to start figuring out a way to get decent quality players. Because the reality is sponsorships and broadcasting value will start to go down if they don't see the value in terms of the quality of players. Because then
Okay.
that in itself, especially from the international players' point of view, will start to dictate, does CEPA really have the pulling power? And right now, I will admit, CEPA is really only reliant on Pakistanis
Yep.
and South African. They are the predominant featuring international players. Of late, you've seen a few Sri Lankans in Afghanistan. Don't think you people realize don't see a lot of Australians, maybe one or
Mm.
two, and you don't see a lot of English players, maybe one or two. But you see about 5 or 6 Pakistan, you see about 7 or 8 South Africa. Somebody probably figured this out already. And oh wait, you don't see any Indians, you know?
Mm-mm,
So
of
my
course.
point is sooner or later, and it's probably already happening. And maybe Mash, this is why you and Santoki brought this point up, because the quality of international players is lacking. Where therefore the international TV value and appeal is not quite there. How have you moved from Mahela Jawadhan and Kumar Sandakar and AB de Villiers and Herschel Gibbs, and you've now moved on to Hasaranga and no offense to Hasaranga or what's the other guy? I forget
Wella,
the so
Wella, Wella Langa or something. Wella Langi or something. All these
yeah,
men. Yeah.
all these man like I'm sorry, what the quality had, and this the only one that has maintained itself is the Pakistanis and South African, but it's only so long that you can keep that up. You know, you're gonna have to start adding. What I would say, and I know you have to move on to your other colors. I don't want to stay too long because if you leave me here, you won't get any colors, right?
Mm.
Is CPL know how to re-strategize? Do they position themselves as, you know what? You Netherlands players, Ireland players, South African players, Afghanistanian players, Bangladeshis. Since these big three players don't want to come out in their number,
Okay. Do you know what? Do you know what? I'm gonna get. I agree with that point. You know that why not target the best of the what do you call
the,
it the
the
associates
below the big three,
and the lower. Yeah, yeah. I hear that point. You know
and
because really
what
and
that
truly,
does,
Josh, you should have a
and by the
Caribbean core, and then you get the best of the. You can get the best
best
of
of
the
the rest.
associates from there. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Best of the rest. And if you
Mm.
position it like that, what it does is it says, you know what? I can join the CPL and use that as a building block to my
Yeah,
career
yeah. I
for the
hear you. I
first
hear you. I
three
hear
to
you.
4 years, and
Yeah.
people then you can use that, and CPL can reposition it. By the way, I'm speaking from the point of the knowledge that I've gained. Do you understand? I'm
Mm.
speaking from a strategic point of view. CPL better hire me after this, because if they don't, then I was just sabotage the whole thing after that. Like the point I'm making is this, guys. CPL now is in a tricky position. They're
Mm.
now at the crossroad of what you call rebranding and re-strategizing. And if they don't make that move now, sooner or later, which is already slightly happening with, you said it, the MLK, the US, what's it called?
M- MLC.
Um, yeah, it's literally on our doorsteps. And here's the trick. I'm gonna say this, and I'll come on, because again, I know you have other callers. I had other topics, but let me just say this part. We rely on a US tourism fan base from a
Yes. Yes.
diasporal marketing
Yes.
point
I
of
agree
view.
with you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of the key things is if the MLC gets bigger, what's the point of these people traveling if they're gonna see these guys these Caribbean guys in America? They're gonna see them. However, where I'm giving two sides to the story. However, where CPL would say is, but you know what? People always want to come down to the Caribbean anyway. They're gonna find the money and come to the Caribbean because they want to be on the island and go to the beach and catch an island vibe. Anyways, so there is a two sides of the story here. But CPL genuinely needs to open his eyes because now it is at this very it's at the crossroad where if it's not strategic now, it will find itself in deep, deep trouble. And that's why, Mash, you're not the only one. There are a few people who are saying CPL is starting to water. And I go back to my early point. How do you move from St. Lucia Zooks? How do you move from Barbados Trident? How do you move from Trinidad TNT Red Force? You've strategically rebranded from identifying words of character and marketing identity to some commercial ideas of royals or knight riders or kings. People
Mm.
don't associate with that. You have to come. Remember, marketing is a storytelling thing. When you're marketing, you're trying to tell a story. The story of the Zooks. That's the music of Saint Lucia. Do you understand? So
Mm.
I'm gonna leave it here so you can take on other callers. But Sipa really needs to open his eyes now. If Trinbago Night Riders realized they needed to set up an academy to start planning for the future for their team, Sipa needs to set up a marketing strategy plan, especially from a player quality point of view. They have the whole party and social and entertainment value put down and they've locked that up properly. That can only carry you so far. Anyway, Mash, I'll let you move on. Take care.
Listen, Josh, before you go, just plug your own Instagram stuff and this and that so people can go follow you. You know.
Oh, okay. So, guys, I have a Instagram page. The one criticism you guys can give me is I'm not as consistent as I should be. I'm trying to get a group of people to help me with producing and being consistent. That is my weak point. But my page is JB Sports Review. So that's JBSportsReView. Baby Sports Review. Thank you guys. If you
Love
wanna
that.
check it out, just spread the word. And by the way, guys, I need a little help. You can DM me if you know people who are willing to help, like like do my videos or edit or whatever. Because that is my struggle. I'm completely blind. I can't really see or anything. So that's my weakness right now, and I'm looking for a team to put around me to make sure I can execute and build this so I can do interview. Kind of like what Match does, but in a different way because I want to do more than just cricket. I love football, everything. So anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll catch you guys next week. Respect, guys. Thank you very much,
Big
much for having me.
big up, Josh. Every Monday. I'll see you again soon. Yeah.
Yeah, man, big up.
No problem. Yeah, big up Josh, everybody. Make sure you go follow JB Sports Review on Insta. If anybody's on Insta, go follow Josh. Integral part of the CCP movement, which is why I asked him to plug his own thing. So if you were feeling some of the stuff that he was saying there, go connect with Josh. And yeah, go interact with him. Got to big up the community, you know? Let me I missed some points that was just going on. Yeah, big up the Martin Luther King League. Yeah, big we're saying that's how. Let's move on. Right. So, Sumit says this is just the T20 franchise ecosystem reaching the saturation point, and can't entirely blame CPL for it. Yeah, I agree with that. It will be hard for CPL to be a major draw in the major cricketing markets given the time zones. Yes. So that was something. So somebody commented on our video that Santoki and I did earlier today and said the one thing you're not considering about why CPL might struggle is it's not conducive. It's not a conducive time to watch cricket around the world. You lot saw what happened to people who were watching the World Cup in June. Anyone who wasn't on the Caribbean side of the Atlantic was down bad, struggling to stay awake to watch cricket matches. So it's not really conducive to watch night games anywhere else from a time zone perspective. Sumit goes on to say CPL will need to target local audience as well as the North American market. As long as it's a spectacle available on TV at prime time, there's cricket-loving audience in US, Canada. Yeah, I agree. Although, Sumit, Major League Cricket is surely going to expand. So, I guess the question for me, Sumit, is how much T20 cricket can anybody watch? Like, surely the real cricket heads, the proper cricket heads, surely they're picking and choosing. At this stage of T20 franchise leagues, surely they're picking and choosing what ones they're willing to watch now. Surely they're still not trying to, apart from like the real down bad betting guys and the down bad stats people, who's actually watching all of these leagues? Like, who's got the time to really invest in it all? Pishak says, is CPL a better product than PSL? Given that West Indies and Pakistan play the most T20s, I need to know your opinion. PSL has more domestic talent, I'll tell you that much. And that the PSL's identity is based around, like, when you hear of, when you like look at Pakistan Super League, you're not thinking, but it's different because when I think of Pakistan Super League, I'm thinking it is a Pakistani league first and foremost. When I'm thinking of a Caribbean Premier League, I'm thinking it's just a random league for loads of overseas guys to come and play. I'm not specifically thinking, oh yeah, this is a Caribbean league, if you see what I mean. So I think the Pakistan Super League has a deeper Pakistani identity. If maybe I'm wrong, I'm just telling you how it feels to me. Right, okay. Fireball is up next. Let me bring him on. One sec, Fireball. Yes, Fireball, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mash. I'm doing good. Respond to your Bromley point, trying to get people outside the Bromley fan base to watch Bromley. Well, outside League 2. It's like me getting people to watch Soca Warriors, especially what happened this weekend. Jesus.
What'd you catch? 4 Love?
Yes. Against Honduras. I expect to lose against Honduras, but Jesus. Anyways, back to the down bad cricket.
Yeah.
I had a friend, he's in Colombia now, he's teaching English, who knows nothing about cricket, but he used to go CPL to lime and drink. Most people in Trinidad just take CPL for lime. They're not really proper cricket fans. Oh, let me not use the word proper cricket fans. They're not cricket fans who watch cricket all year round. They won't be following the MLC or following Test match series, but they'll be amped for CPL. And that's fine. Yeah. One thing I like about TKR, they bring Trinidad and Tobago together. To the point that it reminds me of like the Soca Warriors in the 2010s, bringing Trinidad together. Trinidad and Tobago together as one big happy family. We forget the politics, forget the divisions. That's a couple nights. However, I don't think after a couple years of losing, like every other Caribbean nation, Trinidad and Tobago are bandwagoners. They're loyal fans. Soca Warrior fans are probably the best fans in Trinidad because still like 2,000 of them show up when they play in Trinidad. Well, in the Hazy Crawford Stadium, they don't show up in Central Trinidad or South Trinidad when they play there. But in North Trinidad, they show up for the Soca Warriors. Big up to them. But I don't think TKR fans are that loyal. I don't think any fans in the CPL is that loyal, but Guyana. I think Guyana will stay, even when they finish in last place all the time.
Yes.
I think that's the only loyal fans in CPL, which would be a big problem because one of your biggest draws are now gone, and basically just Guyana and friends in the next couple of years if the MI Academy don't pop off.
What when Josh was talking, something that was running through my mind was the age demographic, and of course, hopefully, there's people from different nations in the Caribbean on tonight's in the comment section. But when you watch TKR Fireball, what would you say? I know it's hard because it depends on where you are in the stage and blah blah. But what would you generally say might be the average age of people watching TKR? Do you see it as a young person endeavor, or do you see it as big man linemen? Like, or do you think there's a certain demographic?
It's a mixture of both. Like the average West Indian fan who watches like West Indian test matches in Trinidad are usually a bunch of old men, probably around my dad's age. But CPL is people like millennials, like proper millennials, like 42, 40. And they have people my age, like Gen Z millennial types, 20s and their 30s. That audience. I don't know about the younger audience, like people like under the age of like what, 21. But it's usually people my age, some people probably a generation older than me. That's the average age I see in CPL.
And you would say that their first priority is to drink.
Yes, to drink and lime and get free food if you're in the party stand.
Yeah.
It's cricket secondary.
So I asked Josh the same question. Say TKR went on a losing streak. And by losing streak, I mean they went, I don't know, 5 CPLs without winning a title. Do you think it would still be the same packed out stadiums after 5 years?
I think the Guyana Amazon Warriors game will be packed out, but I think the other lesser matches might see a bit more empty seats. I don't think it will be as empty as a test match, but they will lose fans. I don't think TKR fans are as loyal as the Guyana Amazon Warriors fans. But it's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
So this year, just to answer the burning question then, obviously there's going to be a Trinidad leg soon of CPL. Are you going to any of the games?
Yeah, Panda Steph dragged me to one of the games. She said, yeah, you want to come to a game? I said, would, yeah. If it wasn't for Panda Steph, I wasn't going no games. That's my bedtime.
So, take Panda out of it. What draws you? You're slightly different. You're a bit of an anomaly, but still, what draws you to TKR? What you personally say in the past when you've gone to watch TKR, what draws you to those games? What would you say is the number one thing that makes you want to go to those games?
Want to go to this game? Well, I never really cared about the cricket. Even when TKR was winning with Brandon McCullum passing up the place, I didn't care about TKR winning cricket matches. I just went for the atmosphere. And it's not a fun time by itself. You need to have at least a friend or two to keep the vibes going. So it's the atmosphere, really. It's the atmosphere, it's the limes, the drinking. There's not the cricket. The cricket is usually the worst part of it.
So last question then, actually, interestingly enough. How comes that same liming atmosphere doesn't translate to... So last year, Trinidad won Super 50. How comes that same liming atmosphere? Because Super 50 is over in a day. It's not like it's a test match where it's 5 days. How comes that same liming didn't translate over to Super 50?
I mean, 3,000 people showed up for Super 50. It was free, but 3,000 people showed up.
What was the atmosphere like last year in the final for the 3? Where was that? Was it at Queen's Park?
No, it was Brian Lara.
Okay, so from your recollection, what was the atmosphere like for Super 50 final?
It was more like basically old uncles and aunties liming. Uncle give me a drink. The uncle all talking. We just basically call all these men shit. Basically, that's what it is. It's basically like the CCP Discord during Super 50. That's what it is.
All right, I hear you. I hear you. Listen, Bible, I'm gonna go to the next caller, but thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man.
All right then. Cool. Take care. Yes, people. Let me just bring up some comments. I saw a couple comments. So, Breadfruit Man says, "Good evening, Machel. Just wanted to mention that it's good news. Yeah, I said this at the top of the show, Breadfruit, that Jamal Holder and Anderson Phillip will get to play some county cricket. It shows that our bowling is not too bad. Yep, I agree with that. We really need some of our Test match batters to get some club contracts. I'm not saying county contracts because I'm not convinced that they are desirable from a county perspective, but some of them could definitely do with being the overseas professional at some clubs in one of the better leagues in the UK. If their calendar allows it, like Kavem Hodge, for example, he's not in CPL because he got that century at Trent Bridge. I wonder if he could have got a deal. But anyways, let's go to some other comments. Vish says, "I don't think the losing streak would matter if Trinidad lost lots of games in a row because Trinis are patriotic as fuck, and with Puran they will draw crowds." Yeah, and Akil, I'd throw Akil in there, Jaden Seals, etc. I kind of feel like because of Puran, like we have to remember that Puran is a worldwide icon. So even when Pollard, Bravo, and Narayan and Cole go, Puran is still going to be a big draw for Trinidad. He's the only genuine world-class talent in the West Indies that every single franchise team in the world wants. So, or would want. So, yeah, I get Fish's point there. Bayesian Surfer says, "Nobody's going CPL on their own. You go as a group to drink and cuss out the players in person." Soul 4X says, "I disagree. Most tickets in Trinidad are sold out before the tournament starts. Results won't matter. When the Carib cold, we dare." Andrew Willis says, "That's what I noticed at the World Cup in Trinidad. Interestingly, I never got that impression in Jamaica. It was more so cricket first and Lyman second. What lost the fans in Jamaica was the removal of stars." Interesting. If there's any Jamaicans in the chat, let me know what your views are on that. That's an interesting point. Sean Gordon says, "How is the CPL helping the cricket?" Well, it's not. It's not. I don't know. I mean, Nikhil put up a tweet was it earlier today where he said that we've seen some good local batters prospering, and I think he said Mikyle Louis, Jewel Andrew, Casey Carty, and Justin Graves. So if we use that, then maybe it is helping the cricket because apparently those four are prospering. Have there been any West Indian bowlers that have come to the fore that we didn't already know about? I think the answer to that is no. So I don't know. We can debate all night about whether CPL is helping the cricket or not. MJ says, "How is someone like Hodge, who had a breakout year, not in CPL?" Well, I guess they see him as a red ball cricketer only. But then Josh De Silva's in CPL. So yeah, Kavem Hodge probably has every right to ask, well, how comes I didn't get a play? Sumit says CPL is at least getting people out to cricket stadiums. It's hard to see that in any bilateral internationals or other domestics. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I agree with that point from Sumit. And I still one thing I would say is Cricket West Indies could still learn from CPL as to how do you market cricket. CPL could definitely teach West Indies cricket about how to market cricket. I was thinking the other day, hear me out, people, before people laugh at this. I was thinking the other day, so for example, when Bangladesh come to the Caribbean, they're playing their 2 test matches. I think the first test is in Antigua and the second test is in Jamaica. Now, hear me out. I'm just going to ask you lot this question. Let me know. If at Sabina, this isn't realistic, but let me just give an example. If at Sabina, Jamaica Cricket Association or the Jamaican government or Cricket West Indies, whatever, paid Vibes Cartel to play a concert at lunchtime during the test match versus Bangladesh, would people come out to the cricket for that day of the test match. What do you reckon, people? So Vibes put on a 40-minute show in the lunchtime interval in like the party mound or wherever at Sabina Park. Would people come for the whole day of the cricket knowing that they're getting a Vibes Cartel show for 40 minutes and maybe a little sing-song at tea time as well? Would people come and watch the cricket because of that? Yes or no? Because I think they would, you know. So it's not. I'm not saying you pay extra to see Vibes, because he's done getting his payment of Cricket West Indies or Jamaica Cricket Association, etc. You're just paying the ticket to come for the cricket, and then you get to see Vibes as well. TC says people are coming. TC said they come right before lunch and leave straight afterwards as well. You not reckon? You reckon they'd just come in, watch the show and leave? Not even stick around for like 1 hour of the cricket? If people wouldn't stick around to watch the cricket before and after Vibes Cartel, then there's nothing that people would watch cricket for then. There's absolutely nothing. Right, Jamaican Philosopher says a lot of Jamaicans will still watch CPL games if all or most of the Jamaican stars are playing for local team. Agreed. Ticket prices are reasonable, and the games are played in the evenings and on weekends. But then that goes back to my point. What Jamaican Philosopher's saying here goes back to my point. When Talawars played in Jamaica, I think the pulling power wasn't just the fact it was CPL. It's because the best Jamaican players were playing. Rovman was playing. Gale was playing. Dre was playing. The only top Jamaican player who wasn't really playing in that side at the time was Brandon King. But I think Jamaicans were going because they knew the core of the team was actually Jamaican as well. And the fact that Jamaica won 3 times or won the tournament regularly enough. So Pishak says, why is Joel Campbell? You mean John Campbell? John Campbell's playing minor league cricket. His ban just ended at the start of August, so that's why he wouldn't be playing CPL. Has John Campbell ever played CPL? I don't think so. Yannick Carrier, I don't even know where he is. Does anyone know where Yannick Carrier is? I have no idea. Celine says UE students in Barbados get tickets for $20 to watch CPL. In fact, actually, speaking of that, across the islands, give me the price in US dollars, please, people. What is a CPL ticket? I'm not talking like VIP ticket. I'm just talking ordinary like stand entrance. What are you paying US dollars to watch CPL? The test match in Trinidad at Queen's Park Oval was $15 US to get into the ground for a whole day's cricket, which I thought was very good. So $15 US it was to watch a day's cricket at Queen's Park Oval. So what are people paying to go to CPL, please? In the different, if we've got people from across the different nations, what are you paying to watch a CPL game? What's the I guess the basic price? And I'm just waiting to see what people say. From Trinidad to Guyana to Barbados to Antigua, what are you lot paying? Right, so Vish says it's 20 to 30 US in Barbados for the Greenwich and Haynes stand. Okay. 20 to 30 US. I think, is that reasonable? I think that's reasonable. I think that's a reasonable price. Anyone else from another nation, want to tell me what are you paying for CPL tickets? What's the going rate? It's 30 US value for money for a CPL game. Probably is, to be fair. But then once you buy food and all sorts, what are you really paying for a night out at CPL? There's super chat from Mike S. Let me just bring that up. So Mike S says, hi Mash, which 2 regional teams stand the best chance at making it to the T20 World Cup in Los Angeles? Guyana and Trinidad. They're the only 2 that I would. One of those 2, if there was a qualifying tournament to make it to the Olympics and it was based on T20 in the Caribbean, you would have to assume that one of the two teams in the final of that tournament would be Guyana or Trinidad, if not both of them. So I would only be prepared to put money on Guyana and or Trinidad to be one of the two teams at the very end in terms of making it to a T20 World Cup in the Olympics, I should say. Right, so more prices are coming through. So thank you for the super chat, Mike S, by the way. Thank you so much. Roger says in Trinidad, tickets are between 40 US and 45 for the regular stands. Trini Posse stand is $75. I think in Trini Posse, I don't know if Fireball's still there. I think Trini Posse, the drink and the food and stuff is free though. After you pay that 75 US, I think everything else is free. But Fireball or some Trinis will confirm that for me. TC says Jamaica had it as cheap as 10 US. North stand was $20, but that's probably back in 2018, 2019, TC. I don't know how much it would be if Talawar's ever returned to the competition. Dexter says for Guyana, it's between 15 to 30 US to watch CPL. That'll be for the cheapest tickets. Vish says you can bring your own food and drinks into Kensington. So you're paying 20 US and you can bring in your food and drinks. $20 up at Sabina Park the last time it was there. Daniel says, what? Oh, Guyana. So $12 US for the grass mound, 17 for the orange stand, 27 for the red, and 30 for the green. Guyana really need to name their stands. Like, look how many iconic Guyanese cricketers Guyana has, and they're naming their stands red, green, orange. Come on, man. You can't name them Clive Lloyd stand or Carl Hooper or this, that, Rowan Kanai. Look how many iconic people Guyana have, and they're calling their stands colours. I'm assuming we're talking about Guyana here. Maybe we're not even talking about Guyana. Andrew Bailey, 45 US for the Carib stand, Trinidad. Okay. Yeah, so Fireball has confirmed. If you pay that 75 US to get into the Trini Posse stand, drinks and food is free. Trini Posse stand. So I didn't ask Fireball this when I was in Trinidad. When the games are at Brian Lara, is there a Trini Posse stand equivalent at Brian Lara, or is it just the mound? Is it just the grass mound that is is that just turned into the party area for Brian Lara, or is there a designated stand? Yeah, so Daniel, so Daniel was talking about Guyana. So Daniel says, I've been saying that Guyana needs to change the stand names for years. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it can't be colours. You can't be a country like Ghana that has produced so many iconic West Indian cricketers and your stands are named after colours. It's actually disrespectful. It's actually a disrespect to the heroes and the forefathers that have gone before. Right, so Brian Lara, it's called the Tribe Party Stand. Okay, so there is a party stand at the Brian Lara Stadium. Okay, cool. So some good intel there from people across the different... Okay, so Dexter says the reason why the stands at Providence aren't named is down to politics. The two political parties cannot agree. Yeah, I can understand that on what probably can't agree on who should get the namings. I'm sure though, Dexter, we could all agree that Clive Lloyd must get a stand named after him. Surely the two political parties can agree that Clive Lloyd gets one. They can argue about everything else, but nobody in Guyana would disagree about Clive Lloyd having something named after him at Providence. And that, like I say, it seems disrespectful that that's not already the case. So yeah. Listen, people, it's a bit of a weird episode. Today because there's not really a whole lot going on. Not really a whole lot going on in the West Indies cricket, like it's just CPL. Before I go, actually, I was about to wrap the show. Before I go, I'm just going to drop this little bit of sus that I got told. I should have started the show with this. Little bit of sus that I got told on the weekend. So, and I hasten to add that everything I'm about to say is allegedly. So I'm not saying that I know this for facts. It is alleged. So earlier this week or last week, St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots put out a statement saying that Shafane Rutherford had left the tournament due to personal reasons. I received 3 text messages from 3 different people. I'm going to say again, I received 3 text messages from 3 different people, all who will remain unnamed, who all said to me, I didn't even ask for the information. I didn't even ask for it. They immediately sent it to me as if they felt like I needed to know. And all those messages said was, the reason that St. Kitts have put out is not the real reason. There is more to the story than that. There's actually more to the story than I'm telling you right now, but true say I'm shook. I don't want to say anything else. So I'll just leave it at that. If you're in the Discord, I'll give you a bit more information there. But all I will say is 3 different people text me, all who didn't know they were texting me, all saying the same thing. All saying the same thing, and neither one was in communication with the other person that had texted me. So I just found that quite interesting. That, of course, could mean that they're all talking nonsense, and it could mean that a rumor has started somewhere that has gone round the cricket circles. But I'm just saying what I've been told, you know. I'm just passing on what I've been told. But like I say, it's all alleged. I don't know if it's true. Anyway, so listen. I've been Machel St. Patrick here on Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. We're here every Monday. It's coming in like a radio show. Chanel McQueen says, how do I get into the Discord? Chanel, somebody in the chat right now will send you the link. I can't do it because I can only do it from my phone, and I'm kind of live on the computer at the moment. But there'll be somebody in the chat right now who has the link, who will probably send it to you in the chat. So just bear, there you go. Fireball's done it for you. So yeah, I'll be Machel St. Patrick here on Half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Every Monday we do this within reason. Join us again next Monday. By next Monday, I'm sure some kind of drama will have happened in West Indies cricket. Remember, people, the ODI, the Women's T20 World Cup is due later this month. Starts later this month. We'll be doing some content around that. CPL will be over more or less by the time it gets to the end of this month. And then Super 50 is on the horizon. If you don't know already, Super 50 is going to be taking place in Trinidad. We don't know too much yet about. We're assuming the Academy will have a team. We're assuming that CCC will have a team. But all we know so far is that it's going to be in Trinidad for the duration of the tournament. And actually, last thing that I'll just say before I go. Check this out. Where's my thing? Sugar, it's next door. So check this out, people. I'll let you lot decide in the comments. Let me just find the date. On the 31st, I think it is, or 30th of October, West Indies are playing, I think it's England, in Antigua. I don't know if it's an ODI. I feel like it's an ODI, or it might be a T20. I've got a feeling that Super 50 is on at the same time as the point I'm making is I'm free between the weeks of the 20th. Let me just find it. Between the week of the 28th of October and the 2nd of October, I'm free. The question is, do I go and watch Super 50 if I can find a cheap enough flight? Do I go and watch Super 50 and be the down baddest of the down bad? Or do I go to Antigua to watch West Indies versus England? Or do I sit my ass down at home and forget West Indies? What do I do, people? Get in the comments below. Let me know. I need an answer quick, though, because if I'm going to do it, I got to make that decision very, very soon. But anyways, I've been Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. This has been... Daniel says, save that money. You best believe. I better sit my ass down at home. In fairness, I've got to go to Jamaica. I'm going to Jamaica next year. I've got to go visit my parents. So I will be in Jamaica next year, or maybe even Christmas. But it's time to go home, you know. Got to go see my parents and stuff. But there's no cricket on. There's no cricket on when I go to Jamaica. That's the problem. But anyways, people, listen, let me get out of here. I've got to get ready for work and do my thing. So catch me next Monday. Probably record something later this week. On your way out, if you haven't already done so, like, share, subscribe, share the videos in the WhatsApps. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get in the comments below if you kind of missed this live and say, oh, I want to talk about this, or what about this point, or so on and so forth. And yeah, catch you all very, very soon. Just once I find this video, I'll say peace. Later.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.